Don't ever let anyone convince you that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about the ability to be open to learn new things in your investing journey and the ability to identify at what point of your life you're at and what it is you need to get out of your investing journey. So, for some, that is stocks. For others, that is ETFs. And I've even found myself at certain points in time being against one or the other. Truth is, it was a lack of knowledge and a lack of me educating myself to understand what both of those two vehicles will do for me. So, stick around and check out this video, and you'll see this old dog has learned a few new tricks himself. So, if you've been following my channel, you'll notice that my wife and I seem to be in a lot of individual stocks listed right here. And over time, I've done a deep dive into a number of those different companies. And I know that I have come across that I have been a major fan of individual stocks, and I still am to a certain degree. For the most part, those are well established companies with a great business plan, doing extremely well, riding the waves of the market, but there really isn't a great deal of uncertainty about those individual companies. And that's a big reason why, given the point in our lives that we're at, we need that security, but at the same time, we are also taking a little bit of risk because if that one individual company suffers, we suffer as a result. And that's where ETFs come along and give you a lot more security or a lot more peace of mind, because the way ETFs work is they combine a number of different companies and not just one. It's also managed by a manager for you, so you don't need to worry about any individual company within that ETF because that is being taken care of. The trade off for that, of course, in many cases, is that you pay a fee which comes out of the ETF. So it's not something that actually comes out of your holdings, but the return, or hopefully the positive return that you make, is somewhat affected because of those fees coming out. But what I want to go into today is to take a little bit of a closer look at some of the ETFs that I've recently gotten my wife and I into, and a few others that I'm looking for. And again, depending on where you're at and what it is that you want to get out of your investments, these could be a really attractive vehicle. Ironically enough, the first ETF that I'm going to talk about is one that we're actually not in. And that is an ETF by Hamilton called HMAX with a ticker of HMAX.to. It is an ETF that contains Canadian banks and financial institutions. And when you look at the top 10 list, they include stocks such as Royal Bank, TD Bank, Bank of Montreal, Scotiabank, Manulife, Great West Life, and Sun Life. So a very, very solid ETF with phenomenal companies in there. And of course, here I am telling you about how great some of these companies are. Why would I not be in this ETF? Well, the truth is, I'm not in the ETF because many of those companies that are in that ETF, I'm already invested in as an individual stock. The TD, BMO, Scotia, and Manulife, four of those stocks out of the eight that I just read were already in. Now, at some point in time, it might be worth our while to divest or sell off all of our individual stocks and then let a manager in those ETFs take control of that for us. The monthly dividend on this last month was 17.5 cents per share that you own. And my philosophy or my feeling has always been these monthly payments are great, and I think they're great for income seekers, but the capital growth in there is not going to be, I feel, as great as it would be in the individual stock. And an example of that is Manulife. For my wife and I, we're both well over 30% return just in the capital for a year, maybe a year and a bit, year and a half almost, but we're over 30% capital return. And then you add dividends on that as well. My wife's well over 40% in the return. So at the point in time where we decide that we don't, or we no longer, I guess, have capital return as highly rated and a monthly dividend is more appropriate or more attractive to us, then that's certainly something that we'll look at. But that's a great example. Again, depending on what it is you're looking for, if you need or want high monthly income, that is a great option for you, HMAX.to. Another really good ETF from Hamilton as well is one called UMAX, UMAX.to, which is a utilities yield maximizer. And that's another example of Canadian companies such as Pembina Pipelines, CN Rail, Rogers, Canadian Pacific Rail, Fortis, and TELUS, which also, again, very highly rated companies in there. And again, if you remember back to the talk that we always do about the stocks that my wife and I are in, at one point I was in Pembina. Both of us are still now in Fortis and TELUS. So another example of where we have the individual stocks. So even though that pays a monthly dividend last month of 17 cents per unit, we're not as interested in that right yet because we hold the underlying companies that are in that ETF already. So what do we actually get into? Well, here's the situation. And one of the things that I commented in my, I believe my first video back, I did realize that both my wife and I are not invested at all in the United States. And there are certainly ways that you can. You can get a US dollar account at your trading institution, bank, whatever, and you can trade in US dollars. And then there's capital gains and all those other things. There's obviously the conversion on the dollar. But one of the things that I've found, one of the best ways to invest in the US market is to purchase Canadian ETFs, which hold the US companies. And a couple of examples that I'll give, and one that I'm going to talk about that we are actually in. The first one, again, another Hamilton ETF. I feel like I'm an advertisement for Hamilton today, but SMAX, which holds such companies as Salesforce, JP Morgan, Amazon, Meta, which is Facebook's owner, Cisco, Tesla, Johnson & Johnson, and Costco. A 16.1 cent monthly dividend paid to you. And it's a great way for you to get into the US market. Now, mind you, holding that, as I've said, and I still believe, holding that instead of holding Costco or Johnson and Johnson or Cisco or Amazon, it's, I don't believe, going to give you as great a return in your capital investment over the long haul, but a monthly dividend, and it's in your Canadian currency so that you're not having to worry about exchange rates and capital gains and all those other things. Holding that in a TFSA or an RRSP, it is not taxable. I don't know for certain if it's in just an open dollar account that's not registered, if there are withholding fees there. So look into that if that's what you do. So the last one that I want to talk about, which is the one that we did get into, is one by Harvest. So it's not Hamilton. It's called Harvest Tech Achievers. And that is a monthly dividend payer, 12 cents per month. It is all US based companies. And some of the examples in there are Salesforce, which was also an SMAX, Advanced Micro Devices, Intuit, Micron Technologies, and ServiceNow. And so those, again, US exposure, Canadian ETF, monthly dividend paid. And what I kind of felt there was that we were killing two birds with one stone because neither one of us have any tech in our portfolios. And although tech is a very volatile sector of the market, getting some tech and getting tech in the US is actually a really good thing. And so this was one that I thought, you know what, this is a really good opportunity. And as I said, 12 cents per month per share that you own, very reasonably priced right now too. And again, is tech going to maybe lead or drive part of the bull market that eventually is going to be coming? Who knows? So that's going to wrap it up for this video. And I want to thank you guys for sticking around. And just a reminder, be open to looking at and learning new things along your investing journey. Nothing out there is going to give you everything that you need or want, but using a combination of different strategies can certainly help you achieve your investing goals. As I always say, if you've enjoyed this video, I really hope you would consider hitting that Marxie's Place button down below this video and in subscribing to the channel. Every time I come out with a video, you will be notified, and I do my best to come out with at least one video per week, usually two. Until next time, take care. We'll talk to you soon.